Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to the regular scheduled City Council meeting of December 1st, 2021. Let the record show that all councilors are present. Meeting called to order. First order of business, truth and taxation public hearing. The purpose of the truth and taxation public hearing is to discuss the city's 2021 proposed levy and 2022 city budget. Before I open the public hearing, I'd like to turn it over to Mrs. Mulliner, and she'll talk a little bit about the proposed budget.
Thank you, Mayor. The budget process is an extensive process that begins in July and doesn't end until the budget is adopted at the end of December. It involves numerous meetings with city staff as well as budget working sessions with the City Council. This year's budget process was challenging. The city has been adapting to changes due to the COVID-19 pandemic. City staff members have been changing due to resignations and retirements. We have encountered supply chain issues as well as price inflation on goods and services. All of these changes, as well as others, have impacted how we provide our services to our taxpayers. When preparing this budget, our goal is to continue to provide quality service to our taxpayers. The general fund is the largest city fund and is funded 41% by local government aid. If the increase in LGA from one year to the next doesn't keep up with the rising costs, the city has to collect the variance in property tax revenues to be able to provide the same level of services. Otherwise, the city is forced to make budget cuts. The preliminary levy was set at the end of September at an increase over last year of 9.8%. That levy included an actual increase in spending of only 4.04%. This is because revenues, primarily LGA, are not increasing at the same rate as expenditures. The calculations presented tonight in the Truth and Taxation public hearing are based on the preliminary levy which was certified to the county auditor at the end of September. I will also discuss the proposed levy that will be on the agenda for adoption at the December 15th council meeting. This presentation is to explain how your property taxes are calculated. Please feel free to grab a packet from the front counter up here if you have not already done so, and then you can follow along. Page 1 is a chart showing how a property's value is determined. The assessors study the market in the area to determine an estimated market value. A market value exclusion is subtracted from this estimate based on a state calculated percentage. This nets to the taxable market value, which is then multiplied by the property's classification rate to determine the tax capacity of the property. The combined levies of all the taxing jurisdictions, county, school, and city, is divided by the tax capacity of all the properties to get the tax capacity extension rate. Then the tax capacity of the property is multiplied by the extension rate to determine the gross tax amount. Any credits are subtracted from that to get to the net tax payable on the property. If you go to page 2 in the packet, there is a chart showing the approximate breakdown of a resident's taxes based on the preliminary levy. 51% goes to the city, 31% to the county, 17% to the school district, and then less than 1% special taxing districts. At the bottom is a breakdown of each tax dollar the city receives. 6 cents of every dollar is applied towards general government, 15 cents towards public works, 17 cents towards the police department, 10 cents towards fire and ambulance, and then etc. If you continue down. If you turn to page 3 of the packet, there is a chart showing the allocation of general fund expenditures towards wages, retiree insurance, other insurances, and general operations. You will see in the chart that over 50% of the general fund's budget is made up of employee wages. If you turn to the next page, on page 4, there is a chart showing the trend in city staffing levels by department over the years from 2010 to the present. In our 2022 preliminary levy, we are budgeted for 147 full-time employees. If you turn to page 5 in the packet, this will show you an example of an estimated annual tax for an average homestead property value at $97,500 and an average commercial property of $223,300, all based on the preliminary levy. The top section shows the amounts and percentages of the tax by jurisdiction. The bottom section breaks down the taxes to the categories of general government, public works, library, etc. If you flip the page to page number 6, this shows the preliminary budget total expenditures. The second column is the direct revenue offsets, such as charges for services, fees, ambulance revenues, direct state aid, etc., which is revenue from sources other than the levy. The net amount is then reduced by other non-levy indirect revenue sources, which are spread over all the general government categories, such as local government aid and technic production taxes, etc. That is what you see being prorated in the fourth column to net what is needed for the levy coverage in the final column. If you flip the page to page 7, this shows where all the expenditures of the preliminary budget would be spent and shows the direct revenues which offset them in each category. This is the preliminary budget and the levy adopted at the end of September, which was reflected in the proposed tax statements sent out by St. Louis County. If you flip one more page to page 8, this is a recap showing the total preliminary levy of $9,287,402 and then the proposed final levy of $9,007,268. The decrease from the preliminary levy to the proposed levy is 3%, or $280,134. This page shows how the levy is allocated to the various funds. The largest portion, 71% of the proposed tax levy, is allocated to the general fund in the amount of $6,427,759. And then on page 9, there's contact information for Rodella. She is here tonight from the St. Louis County Assessor's Office, and she will speak to you if you have any questions about your personal property taxes and the valuation of your property. Rodella, do you want to take them at the end of the meeting, or do you want them to come again?
If there are people here that
Can
just
you out there, please?
Sorry, Rodell, I didn't.
if there's anybody that just has questions about the value of your property and the classification, whether it's homestead, non-homestead, then you should probably be coming downstairs and talking to me.
Perfect.
I
Thank you.
would do that for you, Rodell, but it was good to see you stand up there. Counselors, any questions for Sheena? Okay, thank you, Sheena. Staff for doing this, I appreciate it, and thank you. Okay, so, at this time, I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone that's in attendance that would like to express their views? Anyone in attendance that would like to express their views? Step to the podium, please. Just state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Surjord. I live at 4438 Eliason Road in Hibbing, and I'm here tonight because of my property taxes and what I pay in my increase. And I know I can probably visit with her later here, but I just want to let everybody know that my taxes went up $822 proposed for next year. And that's a total of $6,100 I'm paying for a home, a 3-bedroom home in a rural area. I live on a gravel road. I don't have any city water or city sewer or street lights. And it just seems very high. I'm not afraid of paying taxes, but it just doesn't seem fair for what I'm paying. I compare it to other places in town, probably I would say better homes, and they're paying, the same or less than what I'm paying. And it's like I'm getting taxed like I live on Lake Vermilion. I just want to express, I work with a lot of people, they move into this area for work that I work with, and most of them do not come to the city of Hibbing because of taxes. It's just too high. So they move to adjacent towns or townships. Most of my friends won't build here because of the taxes are so high. They build out in the other areas. I just want to express that I've lived here almost my whole life, and I want to stay here. I raised my daughter here, went to school. Both me and my wife both went to high school here. We want to stay here, but with the taxes, when I retire, I don't know if I'll be able to afford to stay here. And that's what, when you get on a fixed income, things are going to be tough. And I will visit with her and explain everything too and see about my increase, but I just want the council to understand what some of the people are doing out in rural areas too. And I appreciate the police and the fire department. I had 29 years on paid on-call fire department also. So I understand that. And but I want to pay a fair tax. tax. It's all I'm asking for. I guess that's all I got. Just want to express my feelings on that, and I will visit with her then afterwards.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to express their views? Last time, anybody else? Okay, at this time, the public hearing is closed. Thank you, sir, too. Appreciate it. And then Rodelli, you'll talk. Okay, thanks. Thank you. Okay, next up, adds and deletes. Add bid and quotes. Add bids and quotes, item 3A. Delete department and committee reports, 1A. Add license and permits, item 3. Next up, City of Hibbing Police Department, oath of office, Chief Esty for Matt Rossell.
Nice.
I, Matthew Russell, having been duly appointed as a police officer for the city of Hibbing, do hereby solemnly swear that I will defend, enforce and obey the Constitution of the United States and the laws of the state of Minnesota and the city of Hibbing. I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties as a police officer to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Nice. Welcome. Welcome.
Okay, next up, we have approval of minutes. Approve the minutes of the regular Hibbing City Council meeting in November 17, 2021. Wishes of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Fossil, support by Councilor Harkin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Consent agenda. Item 1, approve accounts payable dated 11/24/2021, checks 17/1106 through 17/1206 in the amount of $868,573.90. Item 2, approve payroll for the pay period ending 11/19/2021, checks 16/8/158 through 16/8/171 in the amount of $536,240.82. Item 3, authorize an external hire for skilled labor position in the Public Works Department. Item 4, set the next regular Hibbing City Council meeting for Wednesday, December 15th, 2021 at 5 p.m. in the Hibbing City Hall Council Chambers. Wishes of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read and published.
We have a motion by Councilor Hoffman-Sockman.
I'll support that.
Support by Councilor Fossil. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Next up, bids and quotes. Item 1, city engineer. I'll turn it over to Mr. Hibbing.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, Council, what I bring before you is approve the repair to overhead lights at the Warren Storage Building to Tromco Electric in the amount of $4,395. This is in our lift station repair area, so.
Okay, wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion by Councilor Schreiber.
Support.
Support by Councilor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Item B.
Yes, Mayor and Council, basically, we're looking for approval for the transmission unit on the 2005 one-ton Ford to Hibbing in the amount of $3,675.43. Our mechanics will do the installation.
Okay, wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion by Councilor Harkinen,
Support.
support by Councilor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Thanks, Pete. You can tell you had a hockey game last night. No ways.
It's been a great year, but a lot of practice, a lot of games.
Okay, item 2, under City Administrator, Mr. Item A.
Mayor and Council, what we're looking at is to approve the purchase of 4 properties on the west side of the Hibbing Memorial Arena in the amount of $470,000. We have approached all the homeowners on that side who are willing to sell the properties for expansion, future expansion of the memorial building. And we're looking for approval to those that are willing to sell and do want to sell before the end of this year.
Okay, wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Schreiber.
Support.
Support by Councilor Bayless. Any discussion?
I do, Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilor Bayless.
I just want to make, thank you, Mayor. I just want to make sure that in approving the purchase of the properties that we're doing, taking the right steps for the purchase process. So I don't know if Mr. Borland has any information to add on how that works, but I want to make sure that we're securing property in the right way and the, loans are being paid off on the properties so we can get clean titles and whatnot.
So Mayor, and I did get a chance to talk to Councilor Bayless this morning with regard to this, because I was going to bring it up if the council decided to go forward. Did the council, I think the council definitely, I realize we've got a piece of paper essentially from each of the landowners that proposed to buy this property. There's no guarantee though they're conveying a clear title or anything else, but clearly that's what the city would want. So I didn't know, and I wanted to know to make sure, were you planning on doing a little bit more of a formal purchase agreement, like authorizing me to reach out to these people and draft agreements based on the paperwork that Pete received so far, kind of verifying that they are going to do clear title and those kinds of things, and still get those done by the end of the year? Because that would be, if that was the contemplation, I think that's prudent from the city to have someone check the title, clear the title, make sure there's no other judgments or liens that aren't going to get satisfied. That was kind of more question for you guys, assuming you approved. If there was a vote approved, if there's not a vote to approve, then that's not a concern.
Yeah, I think we want to make sure everything was legit, first of all, because we don't want to spend money and then be held up that we don't get a title or we don't own the land or whatever. So I'm sure everybody agrees on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So that was my primary question, to make sure that you wanted to go through that kind of a process. And I assume, and it would, I assume, be on me then to reach out to those people through Pete to draft some short purchase agreements, verifying the title and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and because, I'm glad that was brought up, because all we really received was like 3 letters that just says this. So, there's nothing formal, there's nothing signed, so I'm glad that was brought up about that question, so.
And Councilor Bayless had reached out to me and asked kind of some procedures and process, and I told him that I was going to mention that if you voted, if the council decided affirmatively to go forward, did you want something more than just that one note? So, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, so I jumped the gun on you, Andy, I apologize.
No, that's all right.
I thought it was important to discuss beforehand, that I think that's pertinent, so.
Okay, I'm glad that was brought up, Councilor Fossil.
I just have a quick question for Pete. Just for this one, the total cost here, this money, is it coming from next year's budget, or is it coming from a specific fund?
It is a specific fund that is for assets, for land purchases and land sales. So, Sheena, maybe I'll have you respond to this.
It's a designated fund. It's actually an equity account that has been carrying a balance for some time from when the city had sold assets, and then the money was in there for the future purchase of assets or for projects. So it will not be part of our 2022 budget that I just did the presentation on. It would actually be coming from that equity.
Okay.
And then what's that leave us with in that fund?
That was 540-ish?
Yeah, it's about 540, roughly that range. I think I have it in the information.
It was over 500,000.
Yeah.
Between 500 and 600.
Okay. That answer your question?
Thank you.
Does it?
Yes.
Okay, any more discussion?
It doesn't matter.
Well, okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'll go first.
You go first.
Like I said, everybody knows where I feel, and I like the project and all that. I'm just gonna say it again, I think we're just jumping the gun on doing this just by the end of the year, just for these properties, because we have to still look at the other properties that are on the block. And, you know, I wish we'd have letters from everybody, and Mr. Borland could go down and make sure every one of those properties was secured, you know, like what you brought up, Counselor, you know, on that. So, like I said, I'm not against the project. I wish we would have had a couple appraisals on the, professional appraisals on the property. You know, that's just where I'm standing, and I'm not against the project, but I wish we would have had a couple appraisals on the property, and then had someone go in, just because where I come from, the construction site, had someone to go in, we have a Baytech company right in town, just to go into those buildings and the houses, just to see what it's gonna cost us. I know to demo the buildings, our guys demo right now, so I'm not worried about the cost of the demo, because they do it on hours of work and all that, so I know that's not gonna cost us any money, but I just wish, like I said, I'm not against this project. I wish we would've went in and checked asbestos, because I know even in the houses that come from that field, sometimes just a little house, you're talking 15,000 asbestos. You know, we have all those houses, those two apartment complexes are big buildings. And then, you know, there's some other houses that are big there, but then there's some that are small. So I just, that's, you know, that, and even getting the soil testing done, just to see what's going on with the testing, because yes, we might be getting these 3 houses or 4 buildings for 470,000, but you start saying bad soil, no one knows what's on soil there. You do the asbestos, that just bothers me there, how much more that's gonna cost on this. So I just wish, instead of just purchasing these properties now, I mean, and I know everybody says it's been going on for years, and like I said, I'm not against the project, I'm worried about the funds, you know, I mean, because it is the taxpayers' dollars, so that's my biggest concern, and, you know, whatever happens on the vote tonight, I'm fine with it. When we go further down it, we have an election next year, we won't have to have a special election for anything, but I think the people should have a vote of how they want, you know, what they want, or a lot more meetings, and if we have to, put it on a referendum, because it won't cost us any more money, because it's an election. That's all I wanted to say. So wherever it goes, like I said, I'm not against the project, but those are just some of the points, you know, and that I wanted to bring up, because I'm sure the asbestos is gonna cost a armload. And I know we got tipping fees at the dump, and that's a lot of buildings we're gonna take down, you know, so that was all I had to say, nothing else.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I just want to say that, as I stated last night, I strongly believe this agenda item is premature and should have been deleted. And again, in my opinion, there are too many unknowns that could adversely affect our taxpayers. Some of them already been mentioned. I'll just say them again. Have the appraisals been conducted? What is the actual appraised value of the properties? Have the purchase agreements been drafted outlining the terms of conditions for the possible sale of these properties and reviewed by our legal counsel? And it sounds like that's something Andy is going to be doing. Again, what are the abatement costs for these buildings? Have the soil borings been done? And these are just some of the unknowns. But again, I believe this is an important decision, and it should be placed on the November ballot and voted on by the people of Hibbing, as I said last night. Also, I am for economic development and growth in our community. My focus is on ensuring the taxpayers are represented in the process, and it's always been about the process for me. And then lastly, I'd like to say, I'd like to make it clear that there were remarks made last night that I do not tolerate, and it needs to be addressed. Attempts to marginalize people based on race is unacceptable. I don't believe these types of statements represent our community, because they certainly don't represent me. Thank you.
Okay. And Counselor, That was from no one from the council, I hope, last night.
No, that's just,
Okay.
what I
I mean,
witnessed
I'm pretty
last,
sure.
no, what I witnessed last night, I feel that needed to be addressed.
Okay, I just wanted, yeah. Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion? We did have a motion and a second. No more discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Okay, thanks Pete for that one too. Next, item 3, internal auditor, Miss Susan. I'm gonna be nice.
Mayor and Council, our current contract with Shubat expires at the end of this year, so we began the RFP process a few months ago. Bids were due October 15th, and Shubat was our only bidder. Their initial bid came in $28,000 over what we budgeted for. After negotiations, they came down to the amounts below, which increased 2 to 3% each year, and are in line with what was budgeted. We also agreed to change the format of the payment to a fixed overhead cost and a vehicle operations cost, which has been done in previous years. This way, their overhead costs will be compensated for when the service is down. These costs will be 100% funded. There is no local share of 20% as in previous years. I recommend awarding the bid to Shubat contingent upon MnDOT's approval of the contract.
Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion by Councilor Harkinen. Support by Councilor Hildebrand. Any more discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Thanks, Eric, but you're up. Oh, no, yes, you are up again. I see some crossed out, but you got another. Okay, department and committee reports, internal auditor, Ms. Susan, item B.
Mayor and Council, the city was awarded $200,000 for the replacement of 2 of our oldest transit buses. This will cover the entire cost of both buses. We did a price analysis on 3 vendors and buses and also got input from our city mechanics, the Shubat employees, John Spohr, and Pete Hyduke. After going over the 3 different buses to choose from, we recommend ordering 2 buses from Thielen Transportation because they were the lowest bidder and there are local warranty satellite shops available for repairs.
Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Schreiber.
Support.
Support by Councilor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Thank you, Mayor. Item 2, city engineer, but Mr. Hyduke, item A.
Yes, Mayor, Council, what we're asking is offer resolution number 21-12-02 approving the county project, reconstructing CS5 from CS8 527 to TH37 during 2022 within the city of Hibbing.
Okay. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion by Councilor Bayless, support by Councilor Harkinen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Thanks, Pete.
Yep.
Item 3, under Police Department Chief Esty, oh, you got a list today. Item A.
It's actually a good list to talk about, so we'll start with the first item, and that's to formally accept the electronic detection canine that we had applied for the grant for back this summer. We were one of several hundred applicants nationwide, which is pretty exciting because only 8 dogs were awarded. So we will have one of those 8 dogs that's going to be awarded throughout the United States. And we will be the only municipality in the state of Minnesota that will have this type of canine. So pretty exciting for our city to be in front of a program like this. I think it's really exciting. So the first one I have is to formally accept the canine from Operation Underground Railroad.
Wish of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Hoffman-Sockman, support by Councilor Harkinen. Any discussion? Chief, well, just a question I have now, since we're the only one in the state, now are other departments going to ask for our help, and do we charge, is there some fee that we charge out, or what's?
I think we're doing something where partnership with other agencies, especially in our region. We got, Duluth with their harbor and the issues they have down there. I think this got a huge impact down there. as well as our Native American communities that are very close by. There's several within an hour reach, so I think we could be a huge assistance to them as well.
Yeah, so more like mutual aid or?
Yeah.
Okay, great. When are we gonna receive? Next question, when do we receive it?
Sure, so actually that's going to be part of the process too. So it's a lab. And we're actually going to add, once we officially know what the dog will look like, we're going to ask community input on the name of the dog.
That's awesome.
Great.
So that'll be a fun part for the community to do, but Officer Dillinger, Brittany Dillinger, will be the handler and she'll go to training in March.
Okay.
And the training's in Indiana. And that'll all be paid for through the grant as well.
No, I'm just curious, that's great for the city and the whole area and the whole state. I meant to put us on the map like that, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carried. Item B.
Item B is to accept a $5,000 donation for our canine program, and that is coming from the Walmart Foundation in town here.
Okay. Wishes of council.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Bayless,
Support.
support by Councilor Fossil. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Item C.
Item C is to accept another donation for the canine program. That'll be $4,000 from the Hibbing Foundation.
Okay. Wishes of council.
Motion approved.
Motion by Councilor Harkinen,
Support.
support by Councilor Schreiber. Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilor Hoffman.
Mr. Mayor, just to make sure that we clarify which fund, this is coming from the Owens Pesavento, Dr. Benjamin P. Owens Family Foundation, of Hibbing Foundation. It's a long name for a fund, but that's the legal name of the fund. So I want to make sure that Dr. Owens' legacy lives on in that gift. So thank you, and I will abstain.
Okay. We had a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried with one abstain. Okay. Item D.
Item D, we received a $500 donation for our canine program. This one was actually due in part to Chase and being the celebrity that he is. Him and Joey actually helped raise funds for another canine. I believe it was in the state of Georgia. It was like they sold these dog treats, and so there's a canine that's going to be donated to a city in Georgia, thanks to Burns and Chase. And as part of that, we got a $500 donation as well
Okay.
for a canine program.
That's great. Wishes of council.
Motion to approve.
James. I'll support.
Okay, Councilor Bayless, support by Councilor Schreiber. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Item E.
Item E is nothing to do with the dog this time. We received a donation from Dead on Arms Incorporated. They're actually the company that we bought our rifles from. They donated a burning non-lethal handgun to us. So what this can be used for is pepper ball, soft rounds. That way when we're dealing with individuals where we don't want to use a lethal type of force, we can use this. It was really nice of them to donate this because if it works out well, I'm hoping that we'll buy one for every squad car.
Wishes of council.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Hoffman,
Support.
support by Councilor Fossil. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Chief, I just want to thank you and your department, I mean, these grants and everything you're doing, the city appreciates it, the taxpayer appreciate it, so thank you very much. And tell your officers and everybody involved.
Yes. And our department appreciates these organizations stepping up and helping our department out as well. So thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, moving on. License and permits, item 1, approve the raffle permit application request of the Angel Fund to hold a raffle on Saturday, February 12, 2022 at the Hibbing Curling Club. Wishes of council.
Motion approved.
Motion by Councilor Harkinen,
Support.
support by Councilor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Item 2, approve the raffle permit application request of the Hibbing Boot Club to hold the raffle on Friday, February 25th, 2022 at the Lincoln Elementary School. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Councilor Fossil,
Support.
supported by Councilor Schreiber. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Item 3, approve the on sale, off sale, and Sunday liquor license of Toilos Pub LLC, Toilos 2600 Highway 73, Hibbing, for January 1st to January 31st, 2022. Wishes of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Hopkins, Sockman.
Support.
Support by Councilor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carried. I need a motion and a second for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Hartman.
Support.
Support by Councilor Bayless. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.